Show me the man, I'll show you the crime. That was a famous saying from Stalin's chief of police. That's how the prosecutorial system is now working against Donald Trump today. Not only was this not a victimless crime, Sean, you want to think about the people who did business with Donald Trump. They made money off of those interactions, not just average consumers, but financial institutions. So for her to bring this case, I think is a legal and unconstitutional violation. And when that's overturned on appeal, she's now talking about seizing Trump's residences and real estate properties. I want to know what property of Letitia James is going to be seized when this is overturned on appeal for the damage this is doing to our country and to trust in the standard of the rule of law in the United States of America. We need accountability when this is overturned on appeal. But for now, I'll say this is a travesty of justice, and this should not happen in the United States of America.
What's going on, everyone? It's also Kenny here today. This is going to be a personal video for me. I'm not going to be doing too many clips, but I want to give my broader commentary about thoughts I've been thinking about. And I think the name of this video is going to be why I don't trust major institutions blindly, or at least why I quit trusting them. And one of the reasons why I quit trusting them is the results don't make sense. Right? Whenever you question what they're doing, their process, you have any skepticism about what they're doing, they're quick to use their credentials, their position of authority to justify what they're doing. Oh, just trust us. No. I think America has lost that spirit of, that skepticism, that intellectual curiosity that Vivek has pointed out time and time again in our institutions. And I believe a lot of these institutions, going from education, medical, even our college, pretty much. I want to highlight education and the medical field and show how much I believe corruption is going on, that these institutions are being used to push a politicized narrative, an ideological narrative, because these positions of authority are held by political activists and ideological I forgot what it's called, academic ideologues. Right, political ideologues, especially in the college and some of these national, global organizations that seems to be so ingrained in the education of our children. Right, so I want to go in this quote that the bad guy from German once said, "What luck for governments that the people are stupid." And I use his actual argument is because it's the fact that we have so much rational ignorance, and this is a topic I've been talking about a lot. Rational ignorance. If you're new to the channel, rational ignorance is to willfully not learn about a topic because the cost of learning the topic for you is not beneficial for you. For instance, if you told someone, "Hey, you got 5 hours to learn a skill," people will prioritize their economic well-being first before they think about political. Political is seen more like a nice to have. This is why I push that civics, understanding how the government work, our governmental system, having a strong and deep fundamental understanding of it, it needs to be in the lower level schools, high school, middle school, elementary school. Those needs to be heavily ingrained in the education, because by the time you get out in college, the paradigm shifts to, let me learn a skill so I can make money, so that way I can have a lifestyle, I can have a living, I can have a career. And people would prioritize learning something for work than learning something just to learn something, right? And that's why we're talking about the intellectual curiosity. And I believe the education system, its primary role is to kill that and let people say, "Oh, you have a credential? Let me believe what you have to say," even if it goes counter to the results that I can see like clearly with my eyes. And I believe the main reason why I quit trusting major institutions blindly is because of the fallacy of authority. That just because people in authority say something to be true does not necessarily make it true, right? Climate change is a big example for me, right? That these people are, "Oh my God, we need to go to this year. We need to transition to out of fossil fuels by 2030, or else the world's gonna end." Yet prediction after prediction after prediction, these people are always found wrong. Imagine predicting the outcomes of something wrong and wrong and wrong again, and expecting having the same level of credibility. Right. So let's go on the education point first. Right. And this is a post from Candace Owens. "Watching them lie about the present, Trump, COVID, is the reason I can no longer accept historical narratives I learned in school. One day, history books will say we survived a pandemic thanks to life-saving vaccines. Just imagine how much they lied in the past." Like, this is getting a lot of people questioning, like, history that we learned. And this is one of the reasons why I want to homeschool my kids, because I honestly believe, like, look, the Democrats, like I told you, the bureaucracy in these government agencies are overwhelmingly dominated by Democrats. Overwhelmingly, if you look at who they donate to, overwhelmingly it's to Democrats. They're overwhelmingly liberal. These are the people that are running these institutions, and that's why I say education is starting to become an ideological church. They made their ideology almost a religion. It is a religion if you go by the definition of what a religion is. And they're pushing that in our schools for our kids. So the same argument they make about, oh, you're not allowed to teach the Bible in school. They created their own version of the Bible and they wanted to teach it to your kids. How this is any different than German propaganda when they were creating the Nazis. They're doing the same thing except for their ideological wheelhouse. And that's what parents are not cool with. This is why they're pushing these transgenderism concepts in schools at an earlier age, because they want our kids to be infected with this stuff. And I believe homeschooling is a form of protest against the education institutions. That's why I want the Department of Education abolished, because I believe they don't serve any net benefit to the country. Our kids are getting dumber. Our test scores are going lower. And people are out here on my comment section trying to defend progressive education, not seeing the flaw in it. Progressive education is essentially what we have today, because all these progressive ideologues are overwhelmingly dominant in teachers unions, the Department of Education. They're spreading all these woke concepts, social emotional learning, CRT style concepts down to our kids. This is progressive education. And they wonder why, compared to the rest of the world, we invest like billions and billions of dollars into our education as a nation, but the test scores keep going down. How you make that make sense? How can you justify the cost of that? The history books of tomorrow are being written today by elite historians, quote unquote, who distort and outright lie about Trump's presidency. In 10 years, U.S. history teachers will be quizzing students about the Russia and charlatan hoax instead of Abraham Accords and economic growth. Morning Joe, historians rank Biden as the 14th best president and Trump dead last. How doesn't that not show political bias? Like, how can you be the worst president ever when you had Woodrow Wilson, who effectively nationalized segregation? So you're saying Trump is worse than him? Like, make it make sense. You see the ideological bias here? And this is why I don't blindly trust institutions anymore. And that's why you should quit trusting these institutions as well. And I want to go on this another quote, Professor Feynman. I love this guy as a thinker. It's a lot better to walk alone than with a crowd going in the wrong direction. And I believe this is what ideological capture has done to the education system, that they're making us run in the wrong direction. So in 1970s, 10% of Americans had a college degree. Today, 40% of Americans have a college degree. This means by simple math that the average intelligence of college graduates has plummeted and simultaneously created a large cohort of Americans who feel entitled to college-worthy professions without the intellectual aptitude for them. Have you noticed that? I mean, I showed you in the intro of my video, and I think this was going to be the video that I'm going to carry on to why progressive education created mass stupidity. There's a college freshman who couldn't do 12 times 5. Could not do it. They asked her what's 12 times 5. She said, I think it might be 24. Oh, I'm not good at math. There's studies that show that Illinois and a lot of these schools can't do reading, math at a grade level or writing at a grade level. Yet we're supposed to pretend that we're so much educated. We're so more educated. No, this is hubris. All we did was increase the self-esteem about 40% of the American population who think that they are worthy of running society. They're worthy of telling you what to do. And then you see the negative results of that. Look at the results. Now you got people questioning DEI pilots because we don't know how you got there. We don't know how you got the degree. We don't know if you got special treatment. We don't know if you got special consideration. We don't know if your credentials is just fluff. And the more and more I observe these people, the more and more I understand the fallacy of authority, because authority can be propped up. Hence the explosions of email jobs, DEI offices, and administrative positions, which are the most susceptible to capture by resentment ideology. I can't speak today. Ideology. Meanwhile, the cost of this college bubble, degree bubble, is shifted onto the taxpayer as a $1.6 trillion student loan scheme is funded, subsidized, and guaranteed by the federal government. Dumbest idea ever. Show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. If government incentivizes people to go to college, then everyone will go to college, regardless if they have the altitude to do it or not. This will not end well. Conservatives should be ready for the bubble to pop and work to privatize student loans, put immense pressure on the system, and put state-backed higher end education into contraction. An ideal might be 20% of Americans with college degrees, meaning a reduction of slots by approximately half. Job trainings, technical schools, and community college are much better options for the 6th and 8th percentile. Faster, cost-effective, and oriented towards productive work rather than ideology. And I agree with this, especially with the job training and technical school, because that's kind of what I did. I got on the job training kind of, and I got a job that would usually require a 4-year degree, and I was able to perform proficiently at it because I got job training. And I think a lot of these companies are being lazy by just using the degree as a filter, and then allow these people who 12-to-1 ratio liberals dominate education to act as a gatekeeper for people's economic success. Another thing about this is another reason I don't trust institutions. Google got slammed because their new Gemini AI refuses to show pictures of achievements of white people. Gemini's senior director of product management and told Fox News Digital it is working to improve the AI immediately. This is racism. Imagine an AI, imagine a group of people are training an AI to not show white people. The underlying issue here is why the AI was trained to do this in the first place. This is why, that's the $1 million question. This is why everyone's scared of the AI, because it's not essentially that AI is going to change the world, but it's the person who first is able to. This is why there's an arms race for the AI, artificial intelligence. Because if people know that if they can able to control and influence that thing, it's top down. It's pretty much top down, top down command authority. It's almost like it'll usher in socialism. So all these guys are like, oh, I want to get it first. I want to condition society first. I want this mass power over information first. So we know that the intellectual standards have decayed, right? We have evidence, we have proof. We see, even if we didn't have proof, we see the results. We're like, damn, these people in authority are getting a lot of things wrong lately. And they were always getting things wrong, but it's just more so now, right? The WHO institution is which the World Health Organization is accused of trans bias after calling for self-identity to become a right in its first global guide to transgender care. Now, they say 21 experts will meet in Geneva next month to work on the guide. The World Health Organization is set out to call for people to have the right to self-identify as the opposite sex in the first global guide to transgender care. The UN agency has been accused of choosing a group of blatantly biased activists. Oh, Kenny, what? Blatantly activists? What's going on? Well, I got a follow-up story for you, because apparently half of the WHO Transgender Health Committee have no medical background, and majority are activists. This is why you should quit trusting major institutions, especially these national global organizations. These people have an agenda. These people, they want you to come with a certain narrative, right? All right, mainstream media, we already know. Pelosi floats theory that Putin has something financial on Trump in rambling interview, right? No pushback, nothing. And the funny part is, the mainstream media lately has been getting on Tucker Carlson about his interview with Putin. But look what they're doing with Pelosi. Anybody that's favorable to the democratic liberal worldview, they do the same thing they accuse Tucker of doing. This is nothing but projection by the mainstream media. This is why I quit trusting major institutions. This is why I believe in more independent people, more honest people. Because these people are using their position of authority to push their worldview, their approach, regardless of the actual results, the actual benefit to society. The American Health Medical Commission, wants to eliminate bias from medical school admissions. Less reliance on the MCAT and the GPA scores and a more holistic view of the whole student could drastically increase the number of black medical students, one dean argued. And why are we arguing for representation? Lives are at stake by hiring someone incompetent in this position. You'll cause more malpractice if you put people who did not meet the traditional standards and you want to make special considerations for them, or you want to eliminate testing altogether. I believe they rolled this back, but this is from 2022. This was 2 years ago almost. And you see some of the bias that's been perpetrating in these institutions. Removing the MCAT could improve diversity in medical. So instead of fixing the core issues of the problems, they rather treat the symptoms. Oh no, let's just look good and put a bunch of black people in medical school have them barely graduate, and then when they can't perform to expectations, and patients start actively avoiding these black doctors, then you will claim in the future that it's racism. Racism has bled into medical profession, when you are the very reason that racism is starting in the first place. That discrimination is starting in the first place because you're putting a lot of black people in positions to fail. And this is what I'm talking about, how DEI does more harm than good. This is why I don't trust major institutions anymore, because I believe they're captured. I believe they're heavily biased, and I believe that they're doing anything to pursue their ideals. So these people are lying. These people are politicizing science because they're allowing their own bias to inform their practice, their approach, instead of letting reality inform their approach. But I digress. This is some of my thoughts of why I quit trusting major institutions. Give me some of your reasons why you quit. Something you quit, maybe some major institution that you heavily don't trust blindly anymore. I'd like to hear your thoughts and your perspectives on this topic. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.